I always talk about having a plan, and it doesn't matter what plan that is, from a lighting plan to a air movement plan to irrigation plan. And it's really important to have a few things in your irrigation that are well thought out and necessary. So first and foremost, we're going to start from the reservoirs. The reservoirs are 75 gallons each. One is going to be completely just pure water. I'm going to also have this tapped off to pump into a humidifier. 3/8 PEX line out to a ionic humidifier. So that's the first thing. Second, this is our 75 gallon reservoir for nutrients. I actually lifted up the reservoirs using some painted bricks. I'll show you these guys. This is a tip I picked up from Miami Mango, and literally go to Home Depot, grab some bricks, paint them white, and then put them on your epoxy. And then this is a really effective way of making sure that these reservoirs don't rust your epoxy and leave an ugly mark. You can also clean underneath the reservoir so it's more sanitary. But we're gonna run from the reservoirs to the pump, all using valves. I'm gonna have the ability to turn these reservoirs on, take water from this reservoir, pump it into this reservoir when this reservoir is empty. The pH and nutrients are all depleted. It's gonna go into a EcoJet 250 pump, which is seriously oversized. But what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be regulating pressure and shooting water back into this reservoir at high pressure. No different than a waterfall in nature. I wanna increase the amount of oxygen being absorbed by the water, and water shooting into water is a really effective way of charging your nutrients with a lot of oxygen. So from the EcoJet pump, we're gonna be having valves going into a Netafim 200 micron disc style water filter. It's very simple, something you can clean very easily. And this is a really important tool to make sure that my woodpeckers on the tables do not get clogged. I cannot afford to have mishaps and clogged drip emitters, so this is necessary to have in the system. The whole system will also be ran by Trollmaster Aqua X, just above you over here. This is gonna plug directly into the rock wool. We're gonna be running Vitawool rock wool, and we're gonna be able to know exactly what pH, EC or TDS, temperature of the block. We're gonna be able to know all the ins and outs of the block and irrigate accordingly. We're gonna know exactly what type of drybacks and maintain an oxygen level exactly in the root zone. So it's very, very important. We're also not running Schedule 40. We're running full Schedule 80. Schedule 80 PVC is completely light impermeable. So this is really, really important. Substantially more money, but by running Schedule 80, we are going to be minimizing or mitigating any problems with algae growth within the system, right? So the whole point of what we're doing here is I want to make sure we don't have to do things twice. I'm not having to clean out lines. I don't have any issues with algae growing inside my piping. So that's also really important. I'm gonna be able to flush the whole system out at the lowest point. All of my piping is gonna be running gradually downhill to this point, and the whole system will be able to run completely dry at any given time. I can actually just hit the valve, the whole system drains, and I don't have water sitting in the actual pipes for a long period of time. The next thing we're gonna be doing is, from there, going into, it's an ultrasonic humidifier, and we're gonna be putting strictly reverse osmosis water, no calcium. I'm not gonna have any white residue left on the walls from running a humidifier. It's really important also. The whole Trollmaster Hydro-X is running the whole garden, and this is gonna be turning on and off, and the main brain will be running the garden to make sure my humidity is spot on. But I've got humidification and dehumidification to ensure that the plants have the perfect level of humidity and perfect VPD. We're going to be running unistrut in the whole garden, so I'm going to be putting unistruts every about 8 feet and mounting the PVC piping directly to the wall. Unistrut is a really effective tool. I'm not going to put them directly on the ground because I don't want the potential of them rusting. I'm going to keep them about 3 inches off the ground, and this is going to be a great tool for me to actually be able to level out the whole pipe to make sure that I don't have any dips. And like I said, I have a gradual decline from the last table all the way to the reservoir. So from there, we're going to run the humidifier, and these are the woodpeckers we've chosen. I really like this style of woodpecker. These are a 2-gallon drip emitter, and we're going to be running 128 of them. This is cleanable. It's pressure compensating, so they are going to be, they independently, I'll show you how this works. They actually screw apart, which I really like, and they have a diaphragm. They're cleanable. If one does clog, I can actually take it apart, clean it. We're going to be also running 2 irrigation lines per plant, and that ensures that I have 2 independent woodpeckers going into actually 3/4 inch drip line. They're basically going to plug in, punch, and then we're going to put our spaghetti from the woodpecker right into a Vita-Wool 6x6x6 block. And that's it basically. All the tables will be able to move independently. I don't like having hard lines going to the tables. It's going to be drained to waste. So I'm going to recover a very small amount of liquid from the blocks and from the tables every single time it irrigates. We're also running 6-foot whips coming off the wall with valves, and I've got the ability to actually turn on and off. On the wall itself, I'll be able to turn the plants and tables on and off. So if I'm not running one table in the room, I can actually turn off the full irrigation to that one table, and everything else will run independently. It's important to, when you come up with a plan, also assess how many gallons per hour. I'm going to be pumping about 1,000 gallons an hour at 2 gallons per hour per drip emitter. So you have to do the math on this. Basically 2 gallons per hour times 2 per plant. So that's going to be 4 gallons per hour. So that's, they usually actually measure them by liters, or this is considered 8 liters per hour. So 2 gallons, 8 liters, but I'm going to be doing twice that per plant. So I need to make sure I have a pump that's going to be able to actually be able to keep up with that much flow. So that's really important also. So do the math on how many plants you have, how many drip emitters you have, and make sure you have a pump to actually meet those demands of that plant and that irrigation cycle. So tons of stuff to put together. I'm not a plumber, but I'm really familiar with how to do this. And so if you have any concerns, questions, comments, I'd love to hear them, but it's just me doing all the irrigation myself. So I'm pretty familiar with it, and I've done a lot, but I'm not a professional plumber. So, but I like doing stuff myself because then I know exactly what it's doing and how it works. And if there's a problem, something breaks, I was the one that put it together, and there's no one else I have to call and say, hey, I have a problem, there's a leak, or this, that, and the other. If you learn anything, fantastic. If you don't, well, whatever. Now, running irrigation, it's a ton of work. And you're gonna make a trip to the hardware store probably a dozen times because you've forgotten a piece, and that's pretty standard and pretty normal. All fittings, I use Teflon tape and just wrap it nice and tight around every fitting. So I wanna make sure that there is just no potential of leaks. And this is the best course of action to make sure that's the case. The opposite direction of the threads so that when it threads in, it goes in properly. So we're gonna be going from this tank, threading in. I'm gonna be putting a union in place Okay, and what a union does is it affords me the ability to remove it after. And actually now I can take this tank out because I don't have a permanent piece of pipe sticking out here. If I ever want to remove this tank, I undo this union like this, boom, that stays with the tank, that goes up, and now all of my irrigation comes off this side. So that's really, really important. You have to have the forethought to make sure that you do not screw this up. Now, all my unions, they all have a little gasket on the inside, okay? That gasket, I always like putting some silicone grease. Not silicone glue, but silicone grease right on that gasket. It's really important to have that as lubricated as possible. And what that does is it ensures that you're gonna have a better seal. And the gaskets themselves will last substantially longer. So this is the simplest, easiest form of a little bit of silicone lubricant. And we just put a little bit on, just enough to give it a light coat. You don't have to go crazy with this stuff. And then I've got the ability to drop that back in and reseal that union. Nice and snug. We haven't made a mess. There's not a bunch of silicone grease leaking all over the place. Now I can actually cut and put my Schedule 80 PVC pipe in it. So that's it. So we're gonna start assembly. So when I cut pipe, I want to always cut and then deburr and take off any potential lip that might catch anything in the system itself, right? So all of this comes off and I've got the ability to clean that up. Perfect, clean. I want to keep my pieces as tight as possible. So a little bit of primer. What the primer does is it cleans and preps the PVC for the cement. Now it's primed, put some cement on it, both sides, and push it straight on and turn at the same time. That's it. Nice and clean, no mess. We're then gonna go into our tea. Why I'm doing this tea here independently. This is gonna be running pure clean water to our humidifier. I want to have this exactly the same angle. I want to maintain a full 90-degree angle on both these next two pieces. So I'm gonna take this off so I can actually get it on the ground. Maybe a little bit too liberal. Two marks are lined up perfectly. Ball valve is going there, and this will be a pipe that's running independently inside because my measurements were correct. It's not going to be out here, something you can kick. Nice and clean. One of the things I really like about conical tanks is cleaning them. I get every single ounce of water out. Flat bottom tanks you can never get clean. And having a conical tank like this, you get every ounce of water out of the tank. So when it comes to cleaning, they're much easier to manage. So this one is gonna stay off a lot. This one will stay on all the time for humidity. What is the importance, you ask, of RO water? RO water is necessary because I don't want the potential of any viruses. I don't want the potential of any pythium or any disease coming in from the city. The only way I can mitigate and actually really get behind making sure that I have zero chance of any problems is by running RO water and UV sterilization. That kills any viruses. It uses UVC in the water and it kills the potential of anything. So as a grower, you're always trying to mitigate any potential problems. And by running pure, clean H2O with no pesticides, no problems, no city issues, this is the only way to really make sure that my nutrients are also 100% balanced, because there's some places in the world you're getting 600-700 parts per million of stuff in the water. And I want to come out with 0 ppm, pure, clean water to make sure my nutrient regime is 100% balanced. So that's really important to me. So next is inlet into the pump. Rubber underneath it. So I'm also graduating down in size. So we're starting the whole system in 1 inch, going through all the filters and all the regulators, pressure relief valves and everything else, all through 1 inch. And as soon as we get into the room, we're gonna go down to 3/4. And you wanna step down your sizing of piping to maintain the proper pressures. And that's really important also. Beautiful. You could not ask for a better fit than that. Perfect height. Measurements worked out lovely. The inlets to the pump are completely done now. So now the outlet side. And this is when we're gonna have to know our distances off the wall. So what we've done is we've got some beautifully painted unistrut. I love this stuff. It gives you the ability to move and change the heights. This is the 3/8 polypropylene line that we're going to be attaching to the ultrasonic humidifier. And I'm just going to zap strap this to the side of the hose, keep it as clean and simple as possible. Push it in, tighten it up, zap strap that to the side of this PVC, and I can then turn on and off as we need to. And the humidifier will just be running off sheer gravity. There's no need to have a pump. It'll just be the pressure in this tank, just like that. That's it for the day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
The next day.
So in the spirit of trying to keep things moving, I did a few things while we were off camera. So first and foremost, you'll notice we have the pump actually hooked up. At any given time, I can run the pump independently of the whole system. We've put inline pH and EC or TDS sensors from TrollMaster, so I can actually monitor this with the AquaX. And then we've got, once again, another union, so I can actually remove the pump very easily. So if I want to clean any of these parts, I can take them apart independently, very small, and put them in a bucket of bleach and clean internally and externally. We've also hooked up our unistrut. I've made sure with the unistrut that we're actually level. So I can now put my level on it and make sure that all the water is gonna end up at my lowest point. So I can drain the whole system very easily. Very important to have a level at all times. So I'm actually able to level out and make sure everything's running properly. Then we've also got a silicone filled pressure gauge, and I'm able to very easily look at how many PSI is ending up at the system, and we're gonna put that in today. So at any given time, I can go up to my AquaX and very easily look at my pH, look at my EC, look at my water temperature. I can also go to my devices and I can turn my pump on. So very easily, boom, pump on, activate. Let's go for 30 seconds. And boom, pump is running. Pump is now mixing nutrients. So I want to do that a couple times a day regardless. Very quickly, ramming oxygen into the reservoir. That's a great way of bubbling water. But also after a few seconds, you'll notice it's going to start doing a tornado and doing a really effective job because it's sucking from the bottom and mixing really well. And it's just about to start. This is the only way I like to mix my tanks, and it does the fastest job. Instead of getting a paddle in there and mixing, I'm letting the pump do the job. Highly oxygenating the reservoir at the same time. There's the vortex, and you get the gist of it. I'm gonna go off auto, I'm gonna go to off, and then back out. And that's really simple. That's one of the nice features with the AquaX. I'm not unplugging, plugging. It literally is a switch. 100% level, nice and clean. It's gonna drop in beautifully. Buy a bunch of these because these are very, very, very valuable. If you make a mistake, you can always put a union in it. It's a really effective way of one, taking the system apart, and two, rectifying whenever you make a mistake. If it seats properly, which it is. We've got a union, nice and snug, and we've got a valve. This will be the very lowest point of the whole system. So I want to drain the system. I've run bleach through the system. I've cleaned it out. Before I run the next crop, I clean everything out right there. Boom, pump it out. Gone, turn it. That means all the crud, everything will end up at the very lowest point. Time to go in the grow room. Check out the other side of it. So I'm going to reduce down from 1 inch to 3/4 while still maintaining about a 1% fall to get to this point, because on the other side is our flush out. So very, very minimal. Like on the level itself, I want to be not here, I want to be right, have the bubble just touching the edge. Having a union affords me the ability to have an angle of whatever I want coming down this way. Now I can regulate the angle of this next pipe going down this wall very simply by just turning it, finding my right angle, and tightening and locking it in. Put on the unistrut on the walls, simply just 2 bolts. Behind this whole wall is plywood, so it doesn't really matter where I affix the unistrut, it's gonna be biting into metal. Normally you'd have a 2x4 you'd wanna go into, but this whole building is 3/4 inch plywood. Super important note, I've got all my plumbing, all my irrigation below my outlets. My outlets are right here. I want to make sure that all my irrigation is below it by at least 6 inches. And from here, we're going to be hooking up the tables and individually having all the irrigation coming in underneath the table. Now, that's really important for me because I don't want to have a whole bunch of pipes coming up on top of the tables. I'm also going to be messing and getting too close to my electrical. So I've literally got all my feeds and drains coming up underneath the system. Normally you would level this up, but I've got a perfectly good wall to go onto, and I'm keeping it off the ground. This is the thing with unistrut, you gotta, let's do that again. It's basically a pilot hole. You gotta put your washer in first. Drop it in. And I'm keeping all of my unistrut off the floor. I don't want to run the risk of it being on the floor, getting wet and rusting the epoxy or making it look like crap. So now the whole unistrut is getting locked in. Same thing. Now just after this unistrut, I'm going to have my T, and from my T, I'm going to have my tap. It's way easier to cut with this one on the 3/4 inch Schedule 80 than the 1 inch. You have to use a good reciprocating saw for that, but this it does the job with a bit of finesse. Much cleaner cut too. With the threads. And from there, quite simply, we're going to have a quick release brass to a hose adapter. When I want to move the table, get out of the way, pop, take the table away. I want to irrigate at this table. Super simple, clip in, and then turn that table on. It's going to continue on from here down to the other 4 tables, but I can now turn on and off and regulate the flow. I can now remove quick connects. I wanted to have all my irrigation come up under the table, not from the top. So now I'm literally going into the bottom of the table, goes into the system through a large through hole. This will be my drain, and there won't be any irrigation visible from the top of the table except for the main line, the drip emitters, and the spaghetti with drip stakes. I like running 3/4 inch poly main line. It's a little more robust. I actually really like this one too, specifically being white on the outside, black on the inside, so complete impenetrable to light. So once again, no algae growth. So I really like these fittings. These are specifically designed for irrigation, and I like, very importantly, having a tap at the end of every irrigation line I have. This affords me the ability to actually do a full flush on the line. This is very important. So just quite simply, it's a press on and twist. When you twist it, this collar then tightens up over the main line and ensures and guarantees a very tight seal right here. Coming into the table, I'm gonna have Schedule 40 PVC holding the 3/4 inch poly main lines in place. That's gonna be a nice strong trunk to make sure that they are dead straight. When I have that main line made, which we're gonna do right now, I'm gonna also do a full layout of rock wool before I set up the main line, because I wanna really see what type of sizing I need. I already know, but I'm gonna do it regardless to make sure that wherever those main lines are gonna go, they're gonna be actually working really, really well for the way I wanna do this. I'm gonna be running 9 plants per light, so 18 per table. We're running a 6x6 block in the table. We're gonna be running the Trollmaster WCS2. This is gonna tell us the temperature, EC, and water content in the substrate. So I really like these. And it's a good guide to give you a good guide of where you're gonna be. So we're also gonna be running Vitawool 6x6x6 blocks. They're a little more dense than Grodan. I really like these blocks. So we're gonna be doing a layout first, putting them on the table and assessing where I'm gonna run my irrigation on the table. Now it sounds a little redundant, but do things once, do it right. And once you have your irrigation in place, you can't look back and go, oh shit, I wish I put my plant in the right area. Basically, 8 gives you exactly 2 square feet per plant, but then I would only have 2 plants in the middle, and I like having 3. I like having the whole table full. So that would afford me 9 right there. Slightly under 2 square feet per plant. A little glue. That's it. Okay, perfect. Good. And we're gonna do groups of 3. I'm gonna drop 2 to this block, 1 to this block. Punch straight in, pull straight out, about that far apart. One, 2. You can hear them pop, little pop. You actually tend to squeeze the horizontally and then push, and there we go. Beautiful. So this one is going to go to this block like that, about that deep in. This one is going to go to this block in the middle. I don't like having extra long spaghettis. It looks kind of gross. Right there. And then same thing. Beautiful. That is the way we're going to do it. So what we've done for the last couple of days is we've set up the full irrigation from start to finish. These are now full with full reverse osmosis water, UV sterilized water. This is pure H2O, 0 ppm. This one is gonna be our water, and this one is gonna be our nutrients, mixed nutrients, ready to irrigate. Anytime I wanna top that reservoir up, switch a couple valves, and I'm now filling that reservoir with this one. I'm also keeping this one pure clean water because I want to feed my humidifiers with pure clean water. Next, we are running into our pH probe from TrollMaster and EC TDS probe from TrollMaster. That's gonna measure and calibrate our food perfectly. TrollMaster sensor on the wall for the pH and EC probe, and I have to calibrate that still. So, and then it goes into our EcoJet pump. I have the choice of alternating pressures by hitting valves and slowing this one down, opening that one up fully, and then that really can regulate the pressure by hand. We then go from the jet pump into the NetFM 200 micron filter. It then goes into a 35 PSI pressure regulator from NetFM, and I then can very easily see the pressures that are being pushed out of this to make sure that it's doing the job that I'm wanting to do. I want to regulate all the pressure going to the system. We've also got the Vidawall with the WCS2 substrate sensor from TrollMaster. This is going to tell us our percentage of oxygen in the medium. It'll also tell us at the root zone what the temperature is and the EC. So it does temperature, EC, and water content. So this will now be able to irrigate or tell me when I need irrigation versus guessing. This is as that plant grows, the irrigation cycles are going to change, and this is going to be able to evolve and change with that plant. So using real technology to effectively irrigate this whole table. At the end of every table, like I had said, we've got ball valves to be able to flush out the whole system. Quite simply, boom, flush. It cleans out anything else. And it's good measure to clean that out every week or so. And that is it in a nutshell. As clean as possible, simple as possible, and having the spaghetti still affords you a bit of flexibility to move plants as you need. If one plant's smaller than all the other, I can take it out and I can put that one in the middle. I can, you've still got versatility on a system like this. So that's it, that's all. I hope you have good luck with your irrigation, and I hope this was informative. Thanks for watching.